Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's having a great day, even the 58% of people that have not subscribed to this channel yet. Well, we're going to continue the series 43 players in 43 days. I'm going through all the players on Essendon's list, looking at their prospects for 2026. Are there going to be any positional changes? Are they going to improve? Are they going to stay the same? Are they going to decline? What can we expect of them in the 2026 season? So we've done quite a few players. I'm doing them in a random order because I think it would be more interesting. And I'm up to Harrison Jones. And this is a pretty interesting one because Harrison Jones is a bit of a forgotten player in some respects. He got injured. He had a very nasty injury early in the season where he rolled his ankle, and it was a bit more than a rolled ankle. It kept him out for the remainder of the year. He did that on the outer wing there, and he wasn't in a good way at all. And that's certainly not good for a tall player like him. It's not good for anyone, but particularly a tall player like him. He's 24 years old. He plays, I guess, as a utility, mobile, big man who can play on the wing and push forward. He was pretty good in the 2024 season when he was utilised as really a high half forward early in the season, and he moved to the wing a bit later on after that. He was picked at number 30 in the 2019 National Draft, which was Essendon's first pick in that year. I'm really having a look at whether these players have really maintained their investment, or whether we've got, whether the return on investment has been worth it. And it's still a question mark with Jones at this stage. He spent a lot of his career injured thus far. He's only really played one season where he's played over 20 games, and that was in 2024. Another season where he played 16 games in 2021, and every other season he's played 10 or less games. So he's played 59 games after 2020 was his first season. He didn't play a game in 2020, but that was his first season. But he's still young. He's 24 years old, so the jury is out. But at this stage, we probably haven't quite got the return on the investment of him, given that he was our highest draft pick in that year. But there is still a long way to go for him. He was rated last year officially as our 37th best player. He only played seven games. I mention these things because I think it's generally interesting just to note where the players are ranked. He averaged 10.1 disposals, 4.1 contested possessions, and 3.7 marks per game. He comes out of contract at the end of 2027. So I don't think he's our 37th best player. I do think he's a bit better than that, but he was a little bit quiet earlier in the year, and there are certainly some things he needs to work on with his game. So early in the season, I remember in the pre-season, he played a game against Geelong at Kardinia Park. It was a game that we won down there. Look, it's a meaningless pre-season game, but nevertheless, there are some things you can get out of the game. Not the result, but in terms of where players play. He had 27 possessions on the wing, and he played pretty well. And he was looking like he was going to be our choice as that sort of mobile big man, but it didn't really quite work out. And I do wonder whether he's being asked to play, or was asked to play, that position simply almost out of necessity. We do have, as I've mentioned quite a lot of times, as we all know, we do have quite a lot of tall forwards. We do have quite a lot of players that can play full forward or in or around that position. And I can't help but think that he was kind of pushed out of that position almost out of necessity. When he was drafted really as a forward, and he's 196 centimetres, so he's a tall guy. And I kind of almost think someone of that height is a little bit wasted as a kind of mobile wingman. Yeah, there is something to be said for your big, tall, mobile wingman, but I can't help but think that his best position really is in the forward line. And this goes to a bigger issue as well, as how our team is structured. You've got Tom Edwards there, you've got Peter Wright, you've got Archer May, you've got Liam McMahon, you've got Nate Caddy, of course. You've got so many players down there. You can't just have everyone down there at once. So where is he going to play? I think this is actually pretty interesting. And what makes it even more interesting is that Braden Fiorini has come to the club as a wingman. And they've openly said that. I mean, they've said that he's going to play on the wing. It's not hidden. That was all part of the narrative around him when Fiorini came to us. And we've got Dersma, who is a pretty reasonable wingman, a serviceable wingman on the other wing. And they really, I think, are locks to play in that position. So where does that leave Harrison Jones? Because he does seem to be a man a little bit without a position at the moment. And I would like to see him bulk up a little bit as well. I've mentioned this before in other videos. Now, I know the alternate argument to that is that he's playing a role where his aerobic capacity is a little bit more important than his physical bulk, where he's, playing as a mobile utility. So I do understand that, and look, it's just an observational thing. When I look at him, he does look pretty skinny. He is 24 years old now, so he's right in the peak of his career, and the time is very much now for him. So he should be coming to his physical peak. So, look, I'm not a fitness expert or anything, but I'd like to see what Matthew Innes and the new regime there sort of have to say about, getting some of these players bigger, because my personal view, just looking at him, is that he could perhaps get a little bit bigger. Maybe that's being a bit unfair. He knows more about his body than I do, and everybody's body is wired a little bit differently. But I think if he is to be a threat in the forward line, which I still think, is probably where his future is, all right? Now, you've got to remember, players like Peter Wright are getting a bit older now, and Harrison Jones is still only 24. If he's going to have a future, then it's probably going to be utilising that size, that 196 centimetre frame of his. So what are the key questions that we've got for Harrison Jones? Well, the main one I've got is what I just addressed with Dersmer and Fiorini coming on the wing. Where does that leave him? Where is he going to play? Secondly, can he use his versatility to be a legitimate forward option? And that's one of his strengths, is that he can play in a number of positions. I haven't really seen him play in the back line yet or anything like that. He's got the height, I guess, to be able to do it. We're not used to, the narrative around him isn't of him being a backman, but, I'm not against the idea. Someone 196 centimetres, he's probably got the physical ability to do it, but he has got that versatility that not a lot of other players have. So can he use that versatility to be, that really good forward option? And the last point was not really a question, but it's really just a statement, and that is the time is now for Harrison Jones. This is the biggest year of his career. Yes, he does come out of contract in 2027, so it'll be a big year the year after that as well, because obviously with his contract coming up. But at the age of 24 and having only played one season where he's played more than 16 games, he really needs to get on the park. Now, look, he was very unlucky last year. You can't help that nasty injury that he had. But he really needs to establish himself. If he's going to make it as an AFL player, I think this is the season that's going to define whether he does or doesn't. I still think there's improvement in him. He's a tall player. Players of that ilk, big, tall, 196 centimetre forwards, I guess nominally a forward anyway, don't tend to peak until they're mid to, late 20s, around the age of 26, 27, something like that. So I still think there's improvement in him. I certainly hope there is, because it's going to be a big year for Harrison Jones. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Harrison Jones? Where do you think he fits into the team in 2026? I'd love to hear where you think he fits into the team, because, in some respects, he's a sort of kind of feels like a player without a position. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to this channel. Have a great day. And as always, go Bombers.